A mob of angry children is suddenly in charge of the country. These aren't people seeking a revolution. They're fighting for the status quo to protect their own status. They are drunk on power, and they're looking for new people to hurt. Someday, we're going to look back on this moment with shame and horror. But in the meantime, we should remember that terror only works if we play along with it. So what if we decided not to? What if all of us decided to tell the truth about something every day in public? What would happen then? What could they do about it? They can't punish everybody. We're the majority. Let's try that. We're starting tonight with Heather McDonald. She's a fearless person, a fellow at the Manhattan Institute, and the author of the book, The Diversity Delusion, How Race and Gender Pandering Corrupt the University and Undermine Our Culture. And she joins us tonight. Heather, thanks very much for coming on. So my theory is that when you say the true things, people get outraged. You know, hurt dog barks. But just to be clear, as a social scientist yourself, I hope you'll confirm for our audience that this is not a controversial statement, that male employment and wages directly affect the marriage rate, do they not?
Well, first of all, Tucker, I want to commend you for making the breakdown of marriage a central focus of your show. There's no bigger social catastrophe of our age than the fact that more and more children are being raised without their fathers. And the elites understand that. Marriage has not disappeared from the elites.
That's for sure.
And yet, they are absolutely unwilling to send the message that fathers are as important to their children as mothers. Their tongues are tied. They refuse to say it. It's one of those truths that, again, is being completely denied by elite culture. Why? Because it violates the feminist nostrum that strong women could do it all. Now, you're right that there's an economic component to this, and most famously, William Julius Wilson explained the drop in marriage among the black community as a result of jobs leaving the Midwest. And he said that the male unemployment decreases females' willingness to marry. But I think you also have to look at a culture explanation, because I remember being taken around in a ride-along by a Chicago cop, a very handsome man, solid job, good pension to look forward to. He had fathered several children out of wedlock. Why? Because the marriage norm had simply disappeared from the black community. So I think this is a cultural matter as well. It's a product, to a certain extent, of the feminist attack on males. We are living through a period where males are being constantly disparaged as simply the source of evil in our world. And they are responding, tragically, by withdrawing from competition, taking their marbles and going home, and that is leaving us all at greater risk.
And in some cases, taking their own lives, I would say. I mean, the suicide rate for American men is higher than it's been in a long time. I would just note that the problems that William Julius Wilson chronicled, I thought so well, 30 or 40 years ago, are now the problems of rural America, which obviously has a completely different racial demographic and political beliefs than inner city America. And it seems to me that when it happens to two different groups, the very same thing, that would be the wake-up call for our policymakers to say, wait a second, maybe we should get involved in thinking about how to fix this, considering in our neighborhoods where rich people live, in my neighborhood, for example, there are no single mothers. Everyone's married because it works. So why aren't they doing their best to pass on the thing that is working for them? It just seems grotesque to me.
No, I think we do have to look at industrial policy and make sure that there are good, well-paying jobs there. I just wouldn't assume that that is going to be enough at this point to turn around the culture. Again, we need to valorize males, and the culture needs to say males are not toxic. Masculinity is not toxic. There are male virtues of valor, courage, chivalry, heroism in war that are really uniquely male. They should not be disparaged. Females have complementary virtues and values that are also essential to children.
So wait, can I ask, where does the idea come from that when men fail, women win? I mean, that really is the underlying assumption of, like, the dumb people we always play from other shows. You know, men are declining, this is great for us. But men and women are totally interconnected. So how can the failure of one help the other? Doesn't it hurt all of us?
Yeah, it's a preposterous zero-sum mentality, but there's a lot of females who are angry for no reason at all. They have an axe on their to grind, a chip on their shoulder, and they're constantly looking for ways to feel offended, mostly by dredging up sexism from the past, because it's almost impossible to find today. I mean, you have females that are excelling in education. There's not a single mainstream institution that is not twisting itself into knots to hire and promote as many females as possible. And yet females are still wringing their hands over the alleged sexism of the 50s simply so they can feel like they're victims. Preposterous. I am not a victim. I don't know any female victims, frankly. But there is a sense that in order for females to succeed, it has to be at the expense of males and through a constant devalorization of masculinity.
Work. It doesn't work. We don't win when some of us lose. I don't believe that. It's not true. Heather, thank you very much.
Thank you.